That's 2024 for you, which leads us straight into this podcast today, which is going to be about the 5 video marketing trends for 2024. So back in the podcast chairs, new year, new you, Mark.
Very new me. Yeah. Very new. Oh yeah. Several parts replaced.
You done a Keith Richards, like you're gonna have a full blood workup, full oil change,
Fresh blood,
can't talk about it.
Fresh set of tyres,
new set of organs, new skin, same skeleton. Right, so we're going to go through what our top 5 video marketing trends for 2024 are. This is based on an article that I've written for LinkedIn. You know, keep an eye open for that, LinkedIn people. So yeah, we've narrowed it down to 5. We'll try and rattle through these pretty quick, I think. So we'll launch straight in with video in general on the internet is it's just number 1 in every statistic and still growing. The stats that I've got in the article, 80% of global internet traffic is video. So we're in the right business, I think.
Is that counting streaming though? Like people watching Netflix and stuff, that's counting that as internet traffic, isn't it?
Not sure. I'll have to check that.
It doesn't make much difference, it'd just be interesting to know.
Yeah. With 17 hours of online video content watched every week. And in terms of video marketing as well, you've got over 90% of businesses now utilising video as one of the marketing tools. So, you know, I don't really like saying this, but if you're not using video in your video marketing, you really are in danger of falling behind because your competitors probably are. So hopefully with these 5 trends, you'll be in a better position to kind of know how video's changing, how people are using it differently, and definitely some of the things that we're seeing in what we're doing day to day.
Well, that's the thing though, Nick, because I don't think it's news to people that video is important online, that they need to be using it in their marketing, but it's about, well, the format of it, I suppose, and how it's used and what it's used for. That's important at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so number 1 is video SEO. So SEO in itself is almost as old as the internet itself, isn't it? People.
Do you mean the dark arts?
Yeah, they're not so dark
as
anymore.
It used to be referred to.
Yeah, the light arts now. Yeah, obviously SEO, everyone probably has heard that before. Just optimizing whatever content you're putting on the internet so that, you know, it gets to the top of the list, so that it can get to the target audience as effectively as possible, and just get to the most relevant people as possible. So when it comes to video, it's not really that much different. The basics, I would say, on whichever platform you're looking at are going to be make sure that you've got relevant title, relevant description, relevant keywords, all aimed at who it is that you're trying to aim the video at, and obviously lets the search engines find those words and make sure that they're putting it in front of the right people for you. So I think that's the most obvious part of that. You're going to say something, Mark?
I was just going to ask the question with regards to the SEO. Where does that information go in? Obviously on YouTube you've got all that behind the scenes where you can put all that information in. So if it's not being pumped out on YouTube, if it's going out on one of the other social streams, how do they do it? Is it a similar thing? Do they have?
Yeah, it's a similar thing.
Does it vary between?
Not very much. The title's obviously a huge one, and kind of jumping forward, you've now got a lot of online tools and AI tools that actually help you do that. So you can put in quite minimal information in terms of what you're trying to do with a video, and let these tools actually transcribe the video and do a lot of that heavy lifting for you. Obviously these tools are clued in with exactly what each platform is looking for in terms of optimization, and it's feeding them exactly what they need for those. So the main one that we use give it a bit of a plug because we really like it, is Cast Magic, which does exactly what I've just said. You import a video to it, or just give it a link to a video online. It watches it, transcribes it, and then gives you a huge amount of content from that, including everything I've just described and more. It'll write a newsletter for you. It'll give you everything, plus you can just ask it for specific things if it hasn't given you that already. So I think those tools are probably what I would recommend people are using to do the SEO for them, because they're always, as long as you're feeding it the right information, they're always going to do a better job than you, and they're going to change with the platforms themselves and make sure it's the most up-to-date stuff, because it can be quite hard to keep on top of the changes to these platforms as well. So yeah, any other points on that?
Well, I think there are some variants. Specifically for business, I think most of the people listening to this, watching this, are going to put stuff either on YouTube, well, probably not either, but YouTube and LinkedIn I think are going to be the two main areas, and I think they're handled very differently. So all that information that you can put into the YouTube upload is one thing, but then on LinkedIn, as you know, for example, it penalises you for sending people away. So that's why we're in the habit of posting the link to the video more often than not in the comments. There are some differences when sometimes we'll post a video in feed, but like how that's, well, LinkedIn's algorithm is just different to YouTube, just full stop, isn't it? So how stuff surfaces on there is, I think, different. I think if that's where the audience is, you'd have to think about that a little bit more, and you have to be a bit more savvy of whatever is best practice on that given month, because it seems to change quite frequently. And then on the YouTube side of things, you've obviously got options there that you don't have, say, if you upload straight to LinkedIn, where you can chapter out a video, as this podcast will be chaptered, and therefore you can have direct links. And I think, although it's not the technical side of SEO, because YouTube and Google are obviously the same hive mind, if you like, we've all talked about this when you're looking to do something, a little job around the house, put something together, whatever, and you're looking for a video that's going to show you how to do it. And the last thing you want to see is a video that's 4 minutes long. That's somewhere in the middle is the answer. What you want to see is one that's 20 seconds long. But failing that, you want to see something that when it shows up in the search result, if it's been properly SEO'd, you can click to jump to the bit. Because obviously in YouTube as well, it also, if you pull up the player bar, it now shows you like this is the bit of whichever given video was the most replayed, all that kind of stuff. So there is that element to it as well, which for me goes into thinking about what the content is and trying to, well, either get rid of the extraneous information or at least position the important information where you want it in the video, either right up front or easily accessible through a direct link.
Well, yeah, maybe we should start with the first sort of port of call on SEO is using the right platform, picking the right platform if you're not going to put on all of them, and making sure that it's optimized for that platform as well. So as Matthew's just said, in fact, you'll see it on this video, there's chapters which we've added, which goes in the description. So yeah, people can kind of get to the meat very quickly, and yeah, you get rewarded for that as well, for that engagement.
Well, the other thing is in your notes here, you've got, that ranking in search engines includes factors like watch time, which goes back to the example I was talking about. If you're looking to give someone business information and you can give it to them in 30 seconds as opposed to 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the likelihood of them watching the whole thing is going to, I don't know what the percentages, but it's going to be exponentially quite higher. And therefore, if you're getting more people watching a bigger percentage of your video, your overall channels, all that stuff kind of one feeds into the other. But my point being that I think being careful to actually not cut it to the bone, but like arrange your information within the video in a user-friendly, accessible manner.
I don't want to rip apart this document that you've prepared here, but this is a marketing trend. Is it really a trend? Is it not just an evolution of what should have been happening before and is now? Why is that SEO a trend?
Because video is more important and more used. It's really just saying the SEO is becoming more important, because video being popular is great and everything, but it does mean an oversaturation as well of information. So how are you going to get your video in front of the right people, to the top of the tree? SEO is one of the key ways of doing that. And just off the tail end of your point there, Matthew, about accessibility, I would also say captions are a huge part. It is a general trend, but it's not in our 5 about silent videos becoming more popular, or even if it's not silent, people watching your video without the sound on. So does your video still make sense?
Or with the sound on and captions?
Captions, yeah.
Well, the captions obviously serve 2 functions. It's the obvious accessibility in terms of, if people are watching it with the sound off, or are deaf, of course, and also just making it easier for the platforms to actually get a transcription of everything that's in there. So if it's closed captions and it's a literal file, they'll just crawl that and take that information directly from there. And it's, obviously, if you're putting the captions on, it's going to be more accurate than AI doing it for you. Because as we found in the past, admittedly, YouTube sometimes gets it wrong.
With hilarious results.
Yeah. Anything else to add on that one before we move on to number 2? Kind of leaked into number 2 a little bit.
I think that's a good thing, really. I mean, I didn't know whether I should mention this, but I was searching for a video somewhere that we'd done to show someone, and it was for gardening tools, shall we say. And what popped up just before that was a short, I know it's a different thing, but like a short video popped up for a company called Love Honey. I was like, how's it targeted me there? I was looking for a garden implement. And
what's Love Honey then, Mark?
I've heard it's some kind of online sex shop.
Interesting.
Is that .com or .co.uk?
You know.
What was the tool you were actually looking for, Mark?
It was a lawnmower.
Some kind of deep pile driver of some kind.
Googling big tool again.
Something to create boreholes.
Hey, this was on the company account computer. Hey, somebody else has got there before me. So why has it chosen me to show that?
That's a whole other podcast.
So our trend number 2 that we're going to talk about is short form video. Possibly quite an obvious one. Do you want to talk a little bit about short form video first?
Sorry, I've lost all concentration. What's this about?
I missed the 8. It took longer than 8 seconds for us to say that, you see.
Well, this is a trend. It's a bad trend, but it seems to be an irreversible trend that people's attention span's just in the shitter. Does that sum up what we're about to talk about?
Well, no, it's fair. I mean, it's low and it's going down year on year. And I think it's 8 seconds now. It might be even shorter than that. I'm not sure. But TikTok is absolutely killing it. Absolutely killing it at the minute. And
is that killing it in a good way or a bad way?
It depends how you look at the world. Depends on how you look at the world. It's very popular, okay, and getting more popular. And obviously, it's all about very, very short videos. And you can always tell that something's doing well when the big boys copy it. So Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, Google are doing the same thing. They have their own version of TikTok videos, so Insta Reels, and I think it's YouTube are called Reels as well. The short sort of vertical video option.
This is just giving us a flashback to overhearing a conversation where 2 lasses who I'm going to guess were certainly 25 or under were talking about Barbie and how it was great, but it was just so long, wasn't it? It was like, do you know it was like nearly 2 hours long? Like I think every film should just be like an hour tops.
Well, I didn't believe you about this, but there's a lot of young people that watch films and stuff on Netflix at like 1.2, 1.5 speed, which is crazy to me. But
whilst gaming and doing something else?
Yeah, juggling 5 different devices. But this is the world we're living in now. So if you're going to market your business on video, you need to think about that and the fact that most people are engaging with the internet and your video on their smartphone It's got to be short, it's got to be sharp, it's got to be shareable, and short form video is absolutely what people want and respond to more now.
Well, to be fair, this does get into well, not that I'm any like acolyte of Stephen Bartlett, but he obviously frequently says if you can get across your proposition, if you can sell your product, if you can demonstrate your product, whatever it is, in 10 seconds, you're winning online. I'd totally go along with that.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you know, I think we've done other podcasts before. We've talked about this. You've got to get that hook, and you've got to get that hook out there, and it's got to be fast. There's still a place for longer form video, but you're pulling in your more engaged customers toward that. Once they've already you've got their attention, now bring them in and sell them.
Quite often we're giving people effectively their cake and they're eating it too, aren't they? Because we're giving them, say, a 30-second ad with the first 6 to 10 seconds with the key information in it, so the unskippable part, so that, you know, it is not a short, but it has the same effect potentially as a short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, most of the time now, if we're making a TV commercial, we're also planning out any additional filming that we need for the YouTube or social media versions as well, which in their nature just have to be different.
Mm-hmm. And quite often there is a 6-second version of that as well. So we're always thinking about how to boil the proposition down into that length of time.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to say about short form video as well is to do with the algorithms that are dictating what the platforms are putting in front of people. And as we know, consistency is the thing. So little and often, literally, on the platforms if you can. Get these shorter form videos out there and try and be consistent with hitting the audience. Whether it depends on obviously what you're selling, but it could be every day or every week, but trying to get a rhythm going, you do get rewarded for that. Again, depends on the platform, and there's a lot of online tools that can help optimize whatever your content is for those platforms.
I mean, it's an art form in itself, getting like the information down into 30 seconds, like you were saying, for a commercial. So to distill it even further down to like 8 seconds or less, to get that information across about your product is a skill in itself, isn't it, really?
Well,
unless you're creating like
I would say it depends how you look at it, because in theory, any product or service that we're helping advertise, there is a version of it where you say it to the client, so what is it? And they say, it's a platform that manages bookings for leisure centres, for the sake of argument. Now, in the 30 seconds, you're given more information around that is important to aid someone in wanting to be more interested and, you know, potentially start that buying journey. Mm-hmm. But in theory, taking the whatever it was there, 3 to 4 seconds to say it's an online booking platform for leisure centres is enough information to have ticked the box to say this is what we're promoting. Mm-hmm. So it's about, to me, it's always about like, there is always a version. It's just so simple that it doesn't really give you any, in my opinion, strong reasons to buy. Mm-hmm. It just tells you what it is.
But what I suppose I was trying to get at there was like, we get a lot of pushback, don't we, from clients wanting to include more into their 30 seconds. But if you've got 8 seconds, that's it. You've got to cut it down to the bone, get that key message.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is. I'm not saying it is not a sales message in the truest sense, because it's not giving you reasons, it's just telling you what it is. But in the more effective, certainly if I'm watching YouTube and I see a 30-second ad that I can skip after 6, the most effective ones, by the time that skip button highlights, I know what it is they're selling us. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, there's plenty of 30-second ads I can watch 3 and 4 times and still not know what they're selling us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, yeah. Definitely.
Well, yeah, we've gone through this exercise with plenty of our clients. When they want to cram a lot of information into, say, 30 seconds. And you just go through the exercise, and everyone can do it. You can prioritise the key features and benefits. And that's what Matthew's just done there. He's just took the very top one, which is, what is it, first of all. And everyone can do that if they're honest. And you know which ones are going to be bottom, you know which ones are going to be at the top. So, yeah, you have to be quite harsh with that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we're all human. If we're all honest as well, people don't want to watch ads. They want to skip it. Make it harder for them. So moving on to trend number 3, which is social media goes video first. Again, talking about TikTok again here, because it is kind of the new kid on the block, and it's like I said before, it's absolutely killing it. So web searches for TikTok have gone up 800% in the past 5 years.
When did it launch though? Did it launch 6 years ago? And it's gone up 800. I know it's massive, but you know what I mean. Like I've lost track, but it feels like it's been around about 5 years now. Is that about
But it
right?
was something before that, then, wasn't it? Was it Vine or something like that?
No, it was separate.
Was that
Same idea.
Same thing. Oh, right.
Vine, I think, was actually owned by Twitter. I think that was a separate little brand they had. But anyway,
Yeah, it was the same kind of
same
re-emerged.
And yeah, in terms of social media, video is the dominant kind of force on there. So again, if you're marketing through social media, and you want that engagement, it's a video first platform now. It's getting pushed to the top, just like Google did back in the day, put videos at the top of the searches.
we had a conversation with someone this week who, you know, has basically spent all of last year optimizing all of their text and image-based LinkedIn content, and then this year it's all going to be about YouTube, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Same content, just putting that amount of effort and time into optimizing what they create and how they release it.
Mm-hmm. Well, TikTok's got 1 billion monthly active users. Again, it's kind of the form factor of TikTok's trickling down into all the other social media. Facebook and YouTube both copied that short form video style that we were talking about before. It just goes to show videos here to stay. It's not a trend. The growing trend is how much it's dominating those platforms now, and that again, if you're trying to market to an audience through social media, video has to be part of that plan. Anything else to say on that one? I think that one kind of speaks for itself.
Well, only in that one of the points you made in the article is about, okay, like that's where a big section of a lot of the audience is. It's not for everything, but you know, certainly a younger audience is on there, and it can't be ignored. But putting the wrong content on there is very counterproductive. So it's not just about knowing where they are. We can kind of take that as read. It's about actually creating stuff, adverts that are optimized for that format, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of it. Which, you know, I know we're going to talk about this in the next one, but goes against some of the more traditional things that maybe we've all practiced over the years, but it's just the way things have gone. But I think that's, well, as we've told many clients, and as you've just said there, like if we're creating a TV advert, there'll be a different version for YouTube. In fact, probably multiple different versions. Same for this, isn't it? You can't just take a video. You have to actually think about what the platform is, what the audience is, and then, ideally create something that's specific to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed, hasn't it? Because you remember initially when it came out, everyone was just taking the video and putting it into portrait format by just putting bigger gaps at the top and bottom, so it playing the social things like, oh, what's going on, and that was it. It was just scaling it down, but now everything has to be considered for that format.
Well, with social media, it's all about beating the scroll, isn't it? How can you stop someone dead from scrolling straight past what you're doing? And again, we've talked in a previous podcast about you've got about 2 to 3 seconds to grab that attention. You've just got a much better chance of doing it with moving image over one more traditional.
Which is what filters down into us having quite high-end camera gear and, going and getting a studio for a day, and then the last bit of setup is putting a head on the tripod that'll tip the camera and shoot it portrait, because that's where it's going to end up.
So trend 4, is, and I've got 3 different names for this, and everyone kind of calls it something different.
Oh.
9:16 video is the technical term. Portrait and vertical works too. So some stats here on smartphone usage and the amount of smartphones around the world, which is insane. Forecasts for 2024 show almost 7 billion smartphone mobile network subscriptions globally. 7 billion smartphones, Mark. Most people are engaging with the internet on their smartphone. Most people now, when they shoot video on their phone, shoot it vertically. And most people that use their smartphone, it's 94% in fact, obviously, because that's how it's designed, hold their phone vertically. What does that mean for video? Which is horizontal.
Well, that's the thing. Video isn't horizontal, apparently, is it? Not anymore.
It was for a beautiful short spell in the early 2000s.
Well, for a long time,
It was square.
For a long time, it was square. Not technically square, but as far as people are concerned, it was square. And then mid 90s to early 2000s, everything moved to widescreen. Everyone had widescreen TVs at home, and everyone was getting the full picture on films and all that. Now we're obviously at a point where every third film that comes out is shot in 4:3 because that's the cool thing now apparently to do. And I get it. I get that things have changed, but I just
That's why you didn't like Saltburn, innit? Because it was 4:3.
When people are filming stuff like this and they're going, I just so many times just want to reach over the shoulder and go, if you just go like that, you'll get the whole thing. It'll be much better. But that's just the way it is.
Well, no,
that's just my personal beef.
when, like, must have been about 15 years ago, if someone sent you some, and they did send you some footage to put into the company video, and they'd filmed it on the phone, and they filmed it vertically,
15 years ago it would have been filmed 240 resolution.
We would have mocked them. I did mock them.
Mhm.
I have mocked people like that. Now, I was wrong.
Yeah.
It's it. It's the trend.
They're
Well,
mocking
it's
you
the
now.
trend.
Yeah.
And this is the key one for me. Most people that are visiting YouTube are doing so on their smartphone, and YouTube's already started with the shorts. I mean, when we first started using YouTube, it was square video. It moved to widescreen, and it really looks like they're going to be pushing vertical and square, because obviously that's quite smartphone friendly as well. But yeah, again,
I mean, it's
this is just the way it's going. This is the way the world's going. The younger generations coming through, that's normal to them. And this is the critical point, though, in terms of if you're making a video that you're going to put out there. It's the assumption that it's easy to sort of retrofit or change a widescreen horizontal video into vertical. That translation's not always easy, is it, Mark? We've done our fair share, and there can be some real headaches. So the key thing to remember is to plan the vertical version if you're doing different versions, which we would always suggest that you can try and get 3, the 16:9, the 9:16, and the square. But you need to plan for that in the pre-production, because the way that it's shot is going to be different and should be different. To get the best out of it, you have to plan for that up front.
Yeah, it's coming right back to your fact finding right at the beginning. Like, what is this video? Where is it going? And you're going to need these formats, these short formats, these vertical formats, whatever format it is. Figure that out at the beginning, because like you say, if you get to the end of it, you've made your 30-second commercial, and then you decide you need a pre-roll, then you decide you need a vertical, then you've spent time designing the layout for the end frame, you know, where all the information's going to be, the contact details, the logos, whatever it is. Sits very, very nicely in landscape. Try to get all that information vertically, then, you know, you've got to like redesign that to make it look nice. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, to be clear, it's not a problem to make it. It's just not ideal to do it after the fact. It's, which, you know, obviously we've talked before about start at the end. It's all the same thing. It's just about knowing what platforms you're going to use, who's going to see it, and then baking that in from the start into the production. Isn't it? It's not that we're against it. It's
no.
It's just a shame. It's a shame when a client gives you a budget and you spend time framing something beautifully for them, and then right at the last minute they go, oh, can you just basically cut 3/4 of that image to make it fit this.
And for any older viewers or listeners,
Like us, you mean?
who remember pan and scan films, where you were watching a widescreen movie on a square TV, and there'd be a version where someone at the back end of it had just artificially just moved the camera for you, so you could see something on the right, or if there was a character to the extreme right and extreme left. A bit of a nightmare on a square TV.
You know what's a good example of what we're talking about is all the films that were shot on Super 35 format. You know what that is?
Yeah. Big screens.
No. The cinematography process is called Super 35.
All right.
So they shoot, they don't do it anymore because they don't need to, but they used to shoot full frame film and then crop the letterbox, the actual, because if it was just standard widescreen, it was easy to just chop the sides up. But if you wanted like full CinemaScope ratio, there's loads of films. The Matrix, for instance, is one of them. If you look at the pan and scan, the home video version of it, it actually still looks really good, because on set they filmed the shot to get the original letterbox frame that they want, but they're also filming it full frame at the same time, and then they're just, so you actually get more picture on those old video versions than you got in the cinema, but it didn't chop people off if there was two people at the edge of a frame having a conversation. So it was a compromise, but it was a compromise born out of the fact that people like E.T., which by the way is only in 185 anyway, but like that was a film when video came out that didn't come out on video for years, and Spielberg resisted putting other films out on video for years, and Scorsese I think was another one, because they just hated the fact that it was getting chopped up and it wasn't the film that they made. If they had two people like that talking to each other, the two options were, you know, this artificial move or to put a cut
which
into
looked
it,
horrendous, by
or
the
to
way.
put a cut into it, and their point was that's not what we made, which, you know, and that's different what we're doing, but it's the same principle. It's just about thinking ahead to be able to plan it so that whichever format it ends up in, it looks right.
And as you said just before, you said it was a compromise, and the compromise was born out of knowing the use and knowing the audience at the back end, which ties in with what we're saying. So moving on to the final trend, it's Mark's favourite thing, artificial intelligence, or AI.
If you will.
He's frightened.
Hey, I'm not frightened by it. I've embraced it.
You have. So AI obviously is one of those things where it's not just video, it's across all industries. Everyone's kind of, you know, dipping their toe in the water, seeing how it can make their life easier and worrying about if it's going to replace them at some point. And so video is no different. AI tools are creeping into the software that we use every day, and external tools that we didn't have before, which have mixed success, I would say. Just looking at what it's used for in video specifically, some of the things I've talked about relate to pre-production, so script writing, storyboarding. So we use ChatGPT, which I think everybody does now. We're using the paid version, so we can generate the images as well.
It's exciting, frightening and exciting in equal amounts, really, to look at kind of how it's come along in the last couple of months from where it was, like the fidelity of the video image now that the process is you can give AI a few prompts to write you a script, take that script, cut it down into a storyboard format, and then ask AI to design that frame. It's, you know, it'll take not even minutes to produce a couple of versions that you can then take that image, tweak it so it can come back and change a few aspects of it. And you've got like a storyboard that looks fantastic in a very, very short space of time. Once you've got that and you're happy with that, you can take, and this is where it's limited, but for how long, I'm not too sure, where you can take those stills and add movement to it. So if it was a seascape, it can literally, you know, have waves crashing, boats bobbing, bit of parallax movement in and out and through. So you've very quickly gone from I'd say within days, writing a script to producing an animatic using AI.
Yeah.
You don't really need any, apart from your thoughts and how you engage with the AI, any creative skill. Don't need hands-on tools. And then you've got something that you can put in front of the client, which scarily might even be better than the final products that you can create. But that's the limit. That's the limitation at the moment. But it's getting better and better. And there's, the AI can take people out of shots, change the shots from a cityscape to a junglescape using that video format, then drop the person back in, but you can be reskinned as a dinosaur or whatever it is. So it's, you need hands-on, you need time on it, but it's pushing forward.
Yeah, well, the pre-production tools, I think, are so far very good time savers. I haven't seen AI do anything that we couldn't yet, but it definitely shaves a lot of time off some of the processes and kind of gives you a bit of a leg up. The Photoshop AI stuff, I think is unbelievable. Unbelievable. However, some of the stuff it tries to do is horrible. Yeah. Rubbish. Doesn't work. Like you say, it is improving. Literally, you kind of see week on week it getting better and better. I think in its nature, video is always a harder thing to do. A moving image, where there's just less control on that, and the raw AI tools coming into After Effects, where you can add or remove things. But they've also got a bit of a legacy one that, for me, always had mixed results. It just completely depended on what you were feeding it, and it was a lottery whether what you were asking it to do, it could do. Sometimes, So, for example, you might have a drone shot of a car driving down a motorway, and you might say, just take that car out of the shot, and it might be able to do that perfectly. Other times, it just looked rubbish, unusable.
There is a good one where it can take like a square or portrait image, and it can pad it out and make it widescreen.
Yeah, extending out. Yeah, it's quite handy.
So, coming back to what we said about planning.
Well, I mean, all the stuff I highlighted in the notes were words like simplify, streamline, assist, enhance, improve. Obviously, you two are using it in practice more frequently than I am, but that's to me the main thing. It's like, obviously, it's exploded. It's clearly here to stay. We'll see what happens, but it is just another tool. It is about making things easier, quicker from the client's perspective. That's good. That'll filter into lower budgets, or more output for the same budget. That's a net positive. But it is just a tool. It's a good tool. It's an interesting tool, but I'm not worried at the minute about replacement of creative thinking.
No, it's a very it's a ramped up version of when like digital software came on the scene. You had traditional artists that were taught for years in how to create paintings, do posters, all that type of thing. Photoshop came along, blew them out the water, because now you could change an image straight away without restarting the painting or cutting a bit out and spending time changing the person's face or the colour of the clothes. That was all digital. That could then be done quite quickly. So then you had like the people that would take on that software got more and more.
It's funny you should say that Photoshop blew it out of the water, because one of the original projects that Photoshop was designed for was creating a virtual environment for them doing the effects on the Abyss. It's in that ILM documentary that you like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So for people out there who think, I want video in 2024, but I don't really want to pay, can I just type something into AI and it just makes a video for us? The answer is...
Unfortunately.
Yeah, the answer is you can't...
Unfortunately for you.
Yeah,
no, not yet.
Well, I don't know. My assumption would be that there are things that you can output already, just based on the little examples I've seen. That's, to me, not the question, though. The question is, do you want something that you look at and go, oh yeah, a machine made that and it feels like a human made it? Or do you want something that actually works for what you need it to work for and it's got some, human touch to it?
Well, I disagree. I think a lot of people, when AI had started to be used in everyday life, I think a lot of people ask that question, is it going to replace people for certain things? So I think it is a genuine question people ask. I mean, we've seen some videos that are fully created by AI, and the thing that I would compare it to is, you know, if you see a catwalk model, Fashion Week, walking down a catwalk, and they're wearing like a bin bag with like Christmas decorations hanging off it and stuff, and it's just ridiculous and over the top, but then that filters down into you know, high street fashion, and it's just like a watered down version. It's like the stuff that AI is generating is like the catwalk version of it. It's just, it's not right. In fact, from using AI regularly, it's funny that you start to be able to spot the things, even on the language tools that you can tell are artificially generated. It has a tone, and a lot of the images just have a lot of telltale signs that it's been generated by software.
It's generally like the mouth is over here and the eyes up there, and
you can just see like
the hands are all gnarled up, missing a couple of fingers.
It's exactly, you start to just know what to check
which
for.
By the way, podcast goes out, that'll all be solved.
They'll have solved that one.
I really don't understand that, by the way, because if the AI has been trained on, you know, every image known to hear, like, how is it getting hands wrong? You know what I mean? Like, how many billions of images of hands are there and fingers are there? But anyway,
just needs a bit of extra code from you.
Five
fingers.
By the way, for whoever is editing this, runway. You can just drop that in every time Kev says catwalk. Just drop me in going runway.
Why?
Catwalk's outdated. You're not allowed to say catwalk
Well, actually,
anymore.
the software that does the animated side of it's called Runway.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Why are you not allowed to say catwalk?
It was. I don't know. Just. I guess it sounds too
80s.
sexist. I don't know. It's been
Well,
ditched. Been
when we
ditched.
do the 2025 trends.
It's the runway now.
Oh, okay. Well, I am sorry. I'm really, really sorry about that.
I literally thought you was putting a plug in there for AI.
No.
Software. Oh, there you go.
I was just making a funny mark.
Yeah, in terms of, I'm going to move on to post-production. In terms of AI for post-production, there's a lot of tools, great tools actually, for helping kind of clean up video, add things. We've kind of touched on that a little bit, but also just like I mentioned it earlier, platforms like Castmagic, which once the content's created, helping you to kind of get it optimized on the platforms and just try and get as much use out of it as possible. And like we said earlier, I think generally AI, if you are trying to create a rhythm and feed the algorithm something, using AI is really helpful if you're going to maintain the amount of content that you're going to put out there. So yeah, really good tool. I'm sure by next year we might have a different opinion on how good it is.
By next year, it'll just be 3 robots sitting here doing this podcast, won't it?
And we can do another one from the job centre. Anything else on AI?
No, I think pretty
Once we start having to refer to it simply as I, then I'll get worried. That's when I'll start worrying.
Okay, so those are the 5 trends. So I think we can end this podcast here.
Okay.
Hopefully short and sweet. How long have we been going?
Longer than 8 seconds.
Could be a record.
Longer than 8 seconds. So
let's chop this up into 8-second chunks. Yeah,
cut us into vertical slices.
Well, that'd be easy done.
Delicious vertical slices.
That's another thing, by the way. On like, it's more American TV than English TV, but when they have a bunch of people on a panel on a news show, and they're all sat like we are now, but they're all in individual little silos on screen, and we're looking at each other, talking to each other, but we're separated by someone else in the. What the hell is all that about?
I tuned in for the behind the scenes scene for The Boys, and that's what they'd done. They'd had the 5 actors talking into camera in the boxes, and then the interviewer sat in the studio talking.
But they're all different places.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about you'll have a presenter on a news show, and you'll have a panel of 3 or 4 people, right? And the way it's presented on screen is as if they're all in different places.
Oh, right. Okay.
But because they're not, they're obviously looking at a certain angle to speak to the person who's next to them or right there, and the eye lines don't match up because it's just bizarre. I don't understand why they just have one widescreen shot that just shows everyone.
Yeah.
Well, but anyway,
is that a trend?
It has become a trend. Nothing for us, thankfully.
Well, Matthew's just destroyed the tight duration we had going there with that irrelevant digression. Thanks for that, mate. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you have gotten anything useful out of this video, please give her a like and subscribe to the channel. Why is that funny? Why is that funny?
It was just the tone. It was just, if you got anything out of this, please give us a like. Give us a like.
Oh, well, hey, come on, give another digression. Talk about something irrelevant again. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.